Alright gang, we're going to get a little foolish in that it's a beautiful day, and I'm going to take this one wheel for a ride around the easy part of my neighborhood. And I'm going to drag a long selfie stick behind me so you can see the jostling of the board and other kinds of things, just in case you are interested. And then at the end I will wrap up with my thoughts, and this is probably day 3 or day 4 I guess of riding, something like that. Here we go. Let me make this a little longer. So I just got a warning on my watch. There was a foot sensor slip.
So I want to draw your attention to my weight and how it is shifted over my back leg, behind the wheel or above the wheel. This is something that Jeremy taught me as a way to kind of mitigate the nosedive and recover from it a little bit more quickly. Because this thing doesn't have beeps and warnings the way you should, I'm pushing down with my front foot for the speed, but I'm supporting the weight on the back leg and ready to kind of jump out of this nosedive. And this is one of the things that really contributes to the calf burn in the back, because you're not supporting your weight with both legs. You're really supporting your leg with one back leg if you're a heavier rider and trying to be safe.
Wasn't going to try it with the expensive camera. This is the 360 one, and if I screw up the lens, it's expensive, right? So I figured I'd just top off. All right. So first things first, turn off the music, because I can't get my thoughts if I've got other people's thoughts singing in my ears. So I don't know if you can see it or not on the camera, but these roads are never smooth. There's always these grooves that happen. They groove down, they groove up, they groove down, they groove up. And this big fat tire is wider than these grooves, right? So you are constantly just bouncing back and forth in this thing. Right? Like this. As you would expect, a little bit. And so I think that's what some people love, and I also think it's what I don't particularly love. Now, because it's a small tire, it's a very nimble kind of vehicle, and because you don't have to, get off to stop, it really does remind me of the M10. So I think that one-wheelers looking to switch to EUCs would do much better enjoying a small tire. EUC, a 14-inch, a 10-inch, something like that. Something like the MCM5, something like the M10 I don't think they'd enjoy a 16, 18-inch tire unless they're looking for just a cruiser, right? Something that is going to get them to work and back, to commute them up the hills and what have you. Because this little guy, it's a fun neighborhood board. It's go out there and cruise, and you think about it. And I think this is most people's first experience with just kind of leaning and going, right? The command interface on our EUCs and on these boards is think it and it happens, and that's addictive. It's very nice. Less so on the one wheel, but it's still their first experience with that. So I can see the joy it brings them, and as it should. It's very maneuverable. They can do things with it. It's built like a tank. You hop off, and every once in a while the bumps give you a shot of adrenaline. So that's kind of pleasant. I think if Future Motion can fix a couple of little things on it, that this really does become very popular and very viable. They're already vibrating my arm to let me know that the foot had moved too far for the sensor pads. They're already letting me know from vibration that wheel slip occurred. They really need to let me know when the engine is at 80% of capacity, that I got to back off or something else. There has to be a mechanism that isn't this thing moving itself up or down as pushback, because as the engine runs out of power, it's got less ability to push back, right? I mean, that's what it is. It's like, hey, I'm running out of power. Let me see if I can lift this guy up with all the power I have and hope that I don't hit a bump while I do it. Dang, I just got another warning, something from writing. Ride recording paused. Okay, I've been sitting long enough, so it vibrated to me to let me know that the recording I was doing of the ride had stopped. So they're sending me all kinds of vibration alerts on my watch, which is wonderful. Their app is leaps and bounds better than any EUC app out there already. I mean, yeah, it's not a good app, but it's way better than all of our apps put together. And the fact that they now send me 3 different types of vibration alerts really pisses me off that they won't send me pushback. I mean, that's... God damn it, Future Motion, if you're listening... I'll bleep that, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I think this is going to appeal to certain kinds of people where the EUC doesn't, and that's great. We should bring them into the market. But if you already ride an EUC, chances are, if you've been looking at this wheel, you maybe need to be looking at a smaller, more nimble EUC for fun, like the M10 III. I mean, that'd be my recommendation. So if I compare these two, this is a 750 watt motor. They call it a hypercore, but it's still a hub motor, right? The M10 III has an 800 watt motor, so it's an extra 50 watts there. No big deal. This is heavier than the M10 by quite a bit. The M10 has up to 512 watts, watt-hours of battery. This has about 136, if I remember right, somewhere there, 130, 40. So you're looking at quite a bit more range on the M10. I've personally taken the M10 about 20 miles. It's got more speed if you want it. It's got a fat tire like this, but not as fat. So yeah, you feel the road and you get that experience, and it's very nimble. Really, what I would say is, for $800, the M10 is the way to go over this. Now, that being said, I think for a longer, slower cruise, the OneWheel is more enjoyable, right? I wouldn't want to do 20 miles on an M10 very often, infrequently, in fact. 10 miles is a lot on an M10, where I think that you can get away with it on the OneWheel. And that brings me to another point about fatigue and pain. So, because you have one foot back and it's controlling this, you are not wearing out both legs equally. You're not working out both legs equally. And your back calf is going to burn, right, after a while. And sure, you'll build it up and what have you, but you're stretching it and pushing it and really putting some stuff in there. If it gets weak, you're going to wobble, similar to what happens when both legs go on the EUC. And one foot is going to want to be forward, and one foot's going to be back. Even, though I've been switching back and forth, I'm pretty ambidextrous. Not ambidextrous. Well, maybe it's the right word for both feet. If you can ride with both feet, I don't know what you call it. Ambidextrous would be like both hands, right? But maybe ambidextrous also has feet. But I feel more comfortable with one of my feet forward and the other one. So I suspect that I wouldn't switch off even if my legs got tired without, some sort of consequence. Now, the Pint. The Pint is another vehicle entirely like this, right? It's also 750 watt, and the tire changes for it. It gets a little more narrow, it gets a little more round. If you notice this tire, as I try to come in here and port, it's flat, right, where the Pint is round. And so when you see the videos of it, they're bouncing around a lot more because they've never really had to balance, and they're describing it as more nimble, as they should. So the Pint is also really interesting, although you're giving up range, you're giving up that battery power. And as you know, when the battery goes down, your speed goes down, your safety goes down. So again, without the warnings and things, I have a hard time feeling comfortable and relaxed on this. Yeah, I'm riding without a bunch of armor today. It's stupid because I'm getting ready for my trip, and if I fell and broke something, I would not be able to go to Taiwan. But at least they made, the innovation of putting a battery meter on the Pint. So, yeah, I think that the Pint I would probably enjoy more, except for the fact that I'd be worrying about like the power cutout and things more until they grow up on how they're doing it. Also, I'm not really fond of the sensor pads, which brings me to the dismount option of the Pint. They've got a beginner dismount where you kind of try to go backward, and then it sets itself down. But there's good reason to go backward on these things, so that's not a good dismount option either. In terms of repairs, I understand sensor pads and Bluetooth are the two major things on this. The waterproofing, not so great either. The cost of repairing these things seems to be pretty huge. I've been on the forums for the last year or two reading this. What people do is I try to understand what vehicles I want for my own exercise and fun. But, if I didn't have an EUC, I would love it. Having had two of the best EUCs made, my desire is to go grab one of my EUCs and ride around the neighborhood, I think, which I'm probably going to do right now, just to bring the thoughts home. I'll continue riding this one as long as Jeremy continues to allow me to ride it, and we'll see, how that goes. But I am definitely going to be gone for quite a bit of time out of the country, and so you won't see the videos that you might be hoping for on this until I get back. On the other hand, I may have some videos from Taiwan if I happen to find some riders that allow me to use their EUCs. And fingers crossed here, Jeremy has ordered a Z10, and it may arrive pretty damn soon, and you know I'm going to beg him to let me ride it, and I will give you my thoughts when that occurs, if that occurs. And I fully expect it to ride dead, and that the battery's going to have to be jumped and all the rest of that, but looking forward to doing that. King Song 16X is still on order for me. Still looking like June. So, more stuff coming, guys. Oh, last section. Let me talk about the previous video, because there was a lot of different opinions on the time warp video of the path I took. The primary reason that I put that in there, and also why I filmed the road around here, not because it's particularly interesting, but because it gives you context. When I describe this thing as jumpy and rowdy and bumping around, it's one thing to say that on a road like this one. It's entirely different when you got to see that there was 7 miles of pristine concrete, without cracks, without the kind of bumps that you have in the normal sidewalk, right? With gentle slopes and gentle curves. I felt that was the real discussion, which is, under what conditions did you feel like it was jumping around and bouncing, what have you? And the answer is perfect conditions. Those are ideal conditions for the OneWheel and every other electric vehicle, period. Which means that the ride won't get smoother. It won't become less rowdy on other roads, right? You've got nowhere but downhill to go from there. And that's why I included it, right? It wasn't to make the video longer or something like that. It was to give you the context of where I'm riding and how I'm reviewing. And that's the same reason I dragged it here. I haven't seen the video, obviously, but I tried to film all the angles so that you could see how the tire was interacting with the road, how that was interacting with my legs, how that was interacting with my ankles and my feet, and what it was doing to my body, and if my facial expression changed. Maybe we'll get to see that too. So anyway, that's the purpose of it. I figured that if you don't want that context, or you feel you've got the gist of it, YouTube has a setting where you can turn the speed up. So basically I'm giving you the option. Alright, happy riding, guys. Bonus video time, MCM5 in the same route. Alright, if you're paying attention, you realize I didn't actually go up this hill with the one wheel, except on day 2 when I nose planted it. Just thought I'd see if you were paying attention and made it this far. So, no idea if that was useful or not. You know, we're talking about the ride. The best thing I can do is show you the ride, right? And the feet and the body and the whole thing. For reference, I don't know if the stick shows, but I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera because I think it's normally invisible. But if I turn the camera, hopefully the stick is no longer invisible. So what you see that you're dealing with here is, in terms of how high it is from the ground, it's half my height, more than that. It's about a 4-foot stick that I put the camera on the end of. So when I'm balancing with this thing, it's got quite a bit of leverage comparatively, just to give you some reference.